To be clear, there is no apparently about Dipper Goes to Taco Bell is gross. It is gross. I fear that is the point of that genre of fic. It is a shock fic, it's meant to shock you. And full transparency, when I read Dipper Goes to Taco Bell, I genuinely almost threw up. Again, that is the point. That was the point. I don't really know if we see this much anymore, but this was just a phenomenon in fandom spaces and fan fiction during this time where people just wrote the most insane, deranged shit purely for the sake of shocking readers. Why I read it was, well, I didn't know what I was getting into, to be completely honest. I like reading really random, insane fan fictions for fun. You know, I like seeing the crazy shit that people come up with. I did a whole video about the whole Tony the Tiger and the Grinch thing. Like, I love fan fiction. I love seeing the different ways that people execute crazy, cursed, chaotic ideas. So this came from a conversation I was having with one of my friends where I was talking about how I read these absolutely wild B-movie fan fictions, and they mentioned Dipper Goes to Taco Bell, and I was like, oh, send it to me. I want to read it. Not being aware of the phenomenon of, like, shock fics or, like, you know, other fics like this, like I mentioned, the hat fic, the hamster fic, the milk fic. And I'm not even kidding, I got warning. But the thing is that if you have never read a shock fic before, there's just no way to properly warn someone. You just have to experience it, you know? So my friend did tell me that they were, in fact, afraid for me to read it, and I was like, I'll be fine. Don't even worry. And like I mentioned, I did almost throw up reading it. So, and just to be so abundantly clear, this is not an advertisement for Dipper Goes to Taco Bell, or in any way, shape, or form encouraging you to go read it. If you want to know what happens in it, I'm not the best person to ask about it because I haven't read it in like 5 years. But there are people who have summarized it. There's plenty of videos out there that have summarized it. I'm sure you can find it summarized on Tumblr. I know that you can find it summarized on Wattpad. But also, even though, like I said, I did legitimately almost throw up reading it, if you, honest to God, are curious enough to know what happens in it, and you don't want someone else to explain it to you, if it's between me explaining it and you going and reading it, I will reread it just so that I don't have to put anybody through that. Like, please keep in mind the kind of person I am on the internet and, like, the type of chaos that I enjoy, and also keep in mind the fact that I will dilute what I will read in fan fiction compared to what I will talk about on TikTok by a significant amount. You know, like, keep in mind, I'm the kind of person who legitimately drove 35 minutes to a Starbucks to explain to my best friend's coworker what Omegaverse was, that I have read Omegaverse fanfiction on a TikTok live stream before. Keep in mind the fact that multiple people have a ringtone of me saying, remember kids, MPreg is always possible. And also the fact that I did fully post a video talking about how I was sobbing, crying in the middle of reading Bilford smut that somehow ended up having tentacle porn in it. And it, like, Bilford is the first time I've unironically read tentacle porn. And I just wasn't fazed by it. But also, I was reading it in the middle of sobbing about other things. So just keep in mind this chaotic little gremlin that I am and the type of shit that I am willing to read. Keep in mind the fact that I have said I did almost throw up reading this fic. And I am saying I would not recommend this to someone on my TikTok. I would not recommend it to someone in any sort of private circle. And I will not elaborate on what happens in this fic, just because I don't really, it's been too long for me to actually be, like, put it into words that won't get this video taken down, you know? Like, yes, part of the reason that I won't explain it is because it's been too long for me to accurately, like, summarize it, but also another thing is that, like, in this moment, I haven't thought about it enough to actually sit down and phrase it in a way that I think TikTok will let be posted. So you just don't have to go read it. Maybe if you're already familiar with shock fics, you know, it might be a little bit different, but if you're not, I just say, just don't. Because, again, there is no proper way to warn you about what you're going to be reading in a shock fic until you read a shock fic. And you know, the main rule of fandom, don't like, don't read. I'm sure there's a demographic out there that these fics are for. I am not one of them, and I fear that unless I know for 100% certainty that I'm recommending it to the correct demographic, I will just not recommend it. So, to summarize, yes, it is gross. There's no apparently about it, but that's, like, kind of the point. That is the whole point of that genre of fic. And if anybody goes and reads it and comes back to me and is like, I can't believe you told me about this, I'm just gonna say you did that to yourself because I told you multiple times not to, and that if you were curious, I would do it for you and explain it so you don't have to. So, that's what I'll say about that.